We're going. Bienvenue. Welcome to another live stream. This is IPSA Kind of Magic, the live stream which is devoted towards the independent personal search agents, or the association thereof, of which Hamish is the current chairman. And we talk about topics that are relevant towards searches and people who do searching. Today's topic is no different. Are you buying blind? Why searches still matter in 2025. Hamish, why do searches matter when surely at a touch of a button, everything we need to know about a potential property purchase is just there?
Well, let me give you a political answer. It's a fantastic day this afternoon in Oxfordshire. Sparkling sunshine. Here I am, ready to go hurtling off to Birmingham after we've finished our little podcast here today. And probably some of you who are listening have got half an ear on what's going on in the budget, which is being announced today. Let me tell you a little something. You don't need to worry about mansion tax until 2028. You heard it from me first, hopefully. But if you haven't, that's part of what's going on in the budget. The rest of it, to be perfectly honest, forget it. It's a complete bloody shambles, but it's not going to have much of an impact, really, other than the fact that it's going to screw up the economy for the next 3 years. So let us get back.
Just that then.
You asked me first. Was there a question you asked me? Oh yes, there was. Why searches? This day and age, one would hope that everything was nice and straightforward. You could press a button and there would be your answer. That doesn't quite work like that, because what we do have, why we have local authority searches, it's one of the last remnants actually of what the councils are going to be sort of left with. Although when we look at the whole search that we're requiring information on, because it's a choice. We did speak last week about would insurance cover it, and we know for a fact it won't, because right. It depends what you want to do with your property. But what's important about the search, which many people forget, and they say, oh, it doesn't matter, because they set the heart on something they've seen somewhere. They're genuinely, this is something we want to do. Well, I mean, that's absolutely sort of fine, but it does make, if you have got your heart set on something, and it can be, I mean, sometimes, we've spoken about this before, somebody could be saying, right, look, with all the fuss, it just costs too bleeding much to move. This is going to be the last time. We want to find somewhere the family can sort of settle in. The children could grow up. They can go off and do their thing. And we've got the house that we want. Funny enough, our son and daughter-in-law decided upon that. And what they've got is absolutely ideal. The trouble is they can't get rid of the children now because the children are enjoying it. No, in fairness, no. The grandchildren, one of them is at university, but the other, I mean, they're fabulous characters. They're no trouble, to be quite honest. They even feed themselves. Mind you, they don't replenish it once they've fed themselves. But that wasn't what we were talking about. Let's get back to, I'm forgetting, I'm not a politician any longer. I never was in the first place. However, the search that we want to get back information that's important to us to know that all things are okay. And that local authority search, and when people sort of say, oh, I found it, this will do, this is exactly what I want, they move in there, and if we can't put an extension on it because it happens to be in an area of outstanding natural beauty or a conservation area, or it might be too close to a listed build. There could be anything that came up within that which said this you can't do, and there can be sort of limitations on what can be done with the property, which are stated within the details held by land registry. So you need to get those details. It may well be somebody's got access across your land that you didn't know about. which happened to me in one particular. I bought my first property I bought. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Not that I have much more of a clue now. However, at the time, I didn't realise that, but basically all the people in our row of, because it was a row of, I can't remember, was it about sort of 6 or 8? I think it was 6 or 8 properties that we actually sort of had. And everybody had a right of access across the rear of my property, which I only found out about when I stuck the fence up, which was a bit late. So we had to do something about that. But things of that particular nature are actually going to come out in a land charges search.
Right.
Other aspects which are possibly not important in the first sense, that things like radon. People say, well, what's the trouble with radon? And the great thing about radon is it should be known. Most people would have had if they were in an area that could possibly have been affected, they would have been advised to get a full survey carried out on the radon. They don't cost very, very much, but it does take 2 or 3 months for they need to record what's going on. The radon itself isn't a particularly nice gas, because if you're in a high radon area, it doesn't mean that your health is going to be permanently damaged by living there, although it had been sometimes in the past. What it does mean, you need to protect yourself against it. And what you do need is, if you get a layer of the appropriate material, any new properties, very often, if it looks as though it could be the case, they'll put a layer of a particular type of plastic, or particular type of material.
Right. So you can actually do something about it. But of course, without having had the search and find this information out, of course, you are putting yourself in a risk of having a property which is vastly less than its actual value, because it hasn't been treated first. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's twofold, really. Very often that will not be the case, because it would have been taken into consideration when it was put up for sale, because the seller will reveal certain pieces of information, but it doesn't, within the question, it doesn't ask about radon. And it's sort of something it's not exactly, nobody sits around all day thinking about, there's radon they wouldn't, the seller wouldn't necessarily reveal that. It wouldn't be one of those things that was a matter that was necessarily asked for, although it is material to the property, as many other aspects are.
Forgive me, I just want to say thank you, and lovely to see all you newcomers who have been watching our video. I see you there on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. We talk about property matters. In fact, I'm going to quickly do a quick shout out for some of the other shows. On Tuesdays at 1 p.m. GMT, we have Property Matters, which talk specifically about issues that affect both construction and anything to do with existing properties. And we've been talking about all sorts of topics. And today we talk about IPSA, which is Independent Personal Search Agents, which are people who actually do searches when you're buying a house to make sure you're actually getting a house that's what you think it should be. Also helps further down the line if you wanted to change it or extend it or do anything else. I'm getting ahead of myself. On Thursdays, we have Property Quorum at 10 o'clock a.m., where we have a group of experts talking about various topics going on within the property industry, particularly useful if you are people who are buying or selling properties or in the property game in some way. You may find that very intriguing. We talk about all sorts of topics there. And on Friday, one of our best known shows is Cladding Matters, been spoken about in both the upper and lower houses of Parliament, and even across in Australia. It has a big following, and that's all to do with post-Grenfell cladding or what is being done about it, remediation. We often have a gentleman called Steve on there who is at the moment himself trying to get that remediated within a property. He is in a flat within hundreds of others in Royal Artillery Quays in London. But sorry to interrupt you, Hamish. I just saw a whole bunch of people, and I thought maybe they'd like to know what it is we do and why we do it. And it's all about education.
I should also say it's a IPSA week or IPSA week. If because tomorrow we actually hold the annual general meeting for IPSA, which obviously IPSA members are invited. Sorry you can't all attend that. But prior to that meeting at 10 o'clock tomorrow, as Gareth explained, we have property quorum. And it so happens this week we have the 3 directors of the Association of Independent Property Search Agents, alongside Juliet, one of the very, very experienced property lawyers.
Yes.
We will be discussing the matter of collaboration, which is seriously important within the housing. If you're involved with housing in any way at all, if you want to buy, if you want to sell, if you want to actually invest, all of these things, you need to speak to the right people. And Juliet is certainly one of those people from the legal perspective. Either way, whichever way you were looking at it from a legal perspective, even because she does a lot of work with lenders as well. So there's a lot of information you could actually get just from tomorrow's property quorum.
I would absolutely recommend it. If you can find a time at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and watch out for Property Quorum. We're out on LinkedIn. We're out on our own special channel called Spilling the Proper Tea on Zoom. It's on Zoom, sorry, on YouTube. But also we go out on Facebook elsewhere as well. And our focus is trying to provide you with talking points and ideas so you can take it away and muse over it yourself. We value people feeding back to us and talking about this similar topics and putting their own spin on it. But today is about IPSA. It's IPSA week. It's all about searches, search agents, and the integrity of such things. So to go back to the core topic, Hamish, I would have thought now in my own mind, actually, I know I was being facetious at the beginning, but in my own mind, searches are more relevant now than they used to be. Because if the default searches you get out there can often swamp you with lots of information, and what you need is to be able to refine it so you get the real information that you actually need to help you on your way.
Very valid point. And this is why particularly we are, and Gareth normally explains this as well, but for those of you who've been here for the first time, what IPSA represents is a number of people, search agents from throughout England and Wales, who carry out the local work, investigating the information that the local authorities hold, also balanced alongside the local knowledge which they have, because they all know the area for which they're providing information, which is a great attribute for, if you like, the quality of the service that we actually provide, because it's as much a service as anything else, because we know the people in the council, and particularly the team that I work with, because it's a very much a collaborative sort of operation, whereby I don't know what the heck is going on with Newcastle. So one of the directors, funny enough, who's speaking tomorrow, I get in touch with Michelle's company, Property Search Northeast, because here I am in Oxfordshire, Property Search Northeast, and they've been working with the local councils up there. So if it's Newcastle, anywhere in that particular sort of region, because they've been working there for 20 years, the chances are they know much more about the area than do the land charges officers, who sometimes will leave after sort of 2 or 3 years, could be 5, but very unlikely they're still there. But the beauty of it is Michelle and her team know their way through the records. They know how to obtain all of that information which is required to sort of come together. And this is one of the great things, that's because the fact that we local people are working with it. I mean, for example, what's going on in Oxford at the moment, Oxford City has become one of these 15-minute cities. So there's a lot of road traffic. The traffic flow has been changed significantly. And you'd like to know, if you live in a house, whether that particular road that you live in has been blocked up in the middle of it, to prevent traffic from flowing freely through it, because it's considered more important that pedestrians can get somewhere within 15 minutes rather than the traffic that they actually use to actually probably cover most of their journeys anyway. But something of that particular nature, again, very, very simple. Railways. Is there going to be a railway? Is it going to impact on you? What's actually happening locally here? We've got the wondrous thing. Within 15 miles of Bicester, we have two aspects going on. We've got the high-speed train whizzing in one direction, and then, of course, to cut it up in the opposite direction, we've got the east-north sort of route, which is going from Oxford to Cambridge. Now, where the heck does that route go? Who does that impact upon? And the local search that you get from the council will give you the information. Is that going to impact on your property? Is it going to be of use to you, the fact that you have a station locally? And basically, it's going to be great because it will mean we can leap on the train here in Bicester, straight up to Milton Keynes. We can do the same to Birmingham and London at the moment, which is really neat. The high-speed train just goes whizzing past. Well, we can't wave from it because it's 10 miles down the road, but we can't catch that. But it does screw up the countryside, as everything.
Right. And these are the considerations, you see. If you don't do those searches, and if you aren't working with an organization like IPSA who will refine those searches so you actually have the information. I often liken it to John Lewis. John Lewis is a retail shop, but more than that, they pride themselves on stocking and testing products and services, only stocking what they believe to be the best of breed. In the same way, Hamish and his organization, or the organization to which Hamish is a chairman, have people up and down the country, and they are specialists in their area. They will take, if you ask them to do a search, they'll take the data they accrue, they'll research it through and provide you what they believe is the right information that you need to be able to make decisions. And that means instead of being flooded with everything, you get the focused, refined search based on it. That if you just go to any old Tom, Dick or Harriet solicitor out there and ask them to do searches, they will. Well, they'll get a bit of everything, and leave it down to you to work your way through it. And that can be quite a trial. Whereas IPSA, who work on a cooperative system, they whoever is the most relevant to a particular area is the one who gets that work. So if someone rang up Hamish and said, I need you to do some work for me in Scotland, he'd say, or rather than Scotland, north of England, he'd say, I'm not the right person for that. Let me put you onto them. That is the nature of the way IPSA work. And because of that, you're getting the very best search. It's not just the best search, but the most refined result. Hamish, would you care to take us home, please?
Right, indeed. Well, I don't need to say much else because Gareth told us more or less everything about it. Now,
sorry.
Of course, our IPSA members are fully aware of this. And of course, it's important aspects like this that we need to pass on to or remind our clients about. And every now and again, if we just drop them the hint of what we do and how important it is, the work that we do, it will save them from falling into the trap of thinking somebody else that comes up and says, oh, I've got a better way of doing things. I've got to just press the buttons and you get the answer.
Yes.
And you won't necessarily, the chances are, particularly if you use a sort of corporate type of provider, or we actually call them factory, it's factory conveyancing. Unfortunately, that takes longer. One would assume it would be quicker, but it does take longer, and in some cases, an awful lot longer, because if you like, you're at the bottom of the pile, whatever the date comes in. If you actually ask me for a couple of places in Oxfordshire, not everybody with IPSA members can actually sort of do this, but it has been done. We know that sort of one of our London providers has actually sort of done this before now. But for example, certain parts of Oxfordshire I could obtain, because we know Oxfordshire really well, and it's our team that would be doing it, we could get the full report to you within an hour, which is unbelievable when you consider some people, that's 1 hour, and some people cannot get the information because of even the council, even the people, even with all of the people that we have and all the people they know in all the land charges offices. It could take you 6 weeks to get that same information that we've got from these two Oxfordshire councils within a matter of an hour. But we need the way through it, and we can actually, and it's quite funny. It was just interesting. One of the team today said to me, he just said, somebody's chasing these orders. We've told them it's going to take 3 weeks, that's the norm for this particular council. And she said they're chasing it already. They only ordered it 3 days ago, and they're chasing it already because it's important. Now, we will always, as soon as that information comes, away it goes to you. Unfortunately, a corporate type provider won't necessarily have the time to do that. And certainly the factory type is not going to have the time at all, because they've got all this paper in front of that. Even when the information's in there, they will work through it on a timely basis rather than on when they get the information back. We act on when the information comes back to us. That's what makes it quicker. And we refine it, as Gareth very kindly explained. And back to you it goes. And these are the things that we as IPSA members should be passing on to our clients all the time. Let them know. But we appreciate the work, that being able to work for them, but we are providing a service rather than a product.
And once again, thank you so much, Hamish, for making that absolutely crystal clear. And to all of you out there who are members of IPSA, IPSA, please think about coming on the show. We would love to promote what it is you do within your local area. And also we'd like some feedback. I occasionally get feedback from IPSA members. And to all the people watching. So thank you so much for everyone all the comments.
Gareth, if we could just briefly, just a reminder, IPSA members, annual general meeting tomorrow. And if anybody is fully awake within IPSA members, just log in half an hour earlier and you'll catch up with a couple of from IPSA on that particular one. But any of the rest of you, do join in tomorrow. Do come join us tomorrow. Look and see what we speak about, how important it is that we go around cooperating with other people. We collaborate. We speak with each other, because that speeds up your transaction for you.
Absolutely. Thank you for everybody who's making comments. You've wandered onto a property show in the UK. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, please keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and please try and look after your mental health. Until next time, bye-bye.
There's a tale about some folks with hammers and some nails. They'll promise you the moon, but their word always fails.